We're live.
Excellent.
Okay, so should we start?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's 2 past noon. We should start now.
Okay,
That'd be
so
great.
welcome to our Wednesday webinar. Today we're going to be talking about first-time home buyers buying a home north of Boston. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so we have a little presentation for today's webinar. We thought it would be a great opportunity to share what's going on in the fall market with all of the new first-time home buyers. So I am Liz Muldrow. I'm a buyer's agent on the Homes North of Boston team. We also have Lori Williamson here, the team leader, and Melissa Brown, our transaction coordinator. So today's webinar is going to be 15 to 20 minutes. Make sure that you ask any questions that you have in the Q&A box, and we'll be answering them as we go through today's PowerPoint. So let's go to our goals for today. Like I said, we're going to answer all your questions, so make sure you ask them as we go along. We're going to look at what does house hunting look like now in 2020. We're going to talk about what you need before we actually go house hunting. We're going to look at the data and what the data shows us about today's market. Also, we're going to talk about what makes an offer strong and what to do after your offer is accepted. So let's just jump in. This is a little example of what the home search looks like right now. So as you can see on the left, there's a home inspection going on with everyone social distancing. Here's the family. And then this is Katie, our first quarantine buyer. So she's special to us, so we thought we would throw that in there too. So let's look at the data and what the data shows us. So this is a graph of new listings coming on the market every week for a full year. As you can see, we've been tracking it from 2017 through 2020. So this green line is 2020, and this pink square represents when we went into quarantine. After quarantine, we got a 50% decrease of listings coming on the market. People were not as comfortable putting their house on with all the uncertainty going on. And then as things started to open back up, people got more and more comfortable. And then we fell right back into the regular seasonality that real estate has, as you can see. And then over here, and now that we're entering fall, you can see we're actually above previous year's number of listings coming on the market each week. There's still a shortage of inventory, especially since we lost all of this inventory in March. So we're hoping to make up for it in the fall. The other thing that happened was there was an increase of buyers entering the market since the interest rates were so low. So that just gives you a little overview of what the market is looking like right now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be talking about is actually beginning your home search. So the very first thing that you need to do is get a pre-approval, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So then once you're ready to go actually look at homes, the first thing that's going to happen is if you're interested in a home and you reach out to an agent saying that you want to go see it, they will actually send you the virtual tour first so that you can get a better perspective before going in person. The other thing that's a little bit different now is open houses. Open houses are by appointment only. So if you want to go to an open house, you have to contact your agent. They will book a 15-minute time slot. You'll show up at your given time, and it'll just be your party with your agent in the house at one time. So sometimes you might have to wait in line to get in since they're only letting one group in at a time, but that's just a little bit about how open houses are running now. Home inspections are now in person. We just are trying to limit it to 1 or 2 buyers with the home inspector and their agent. Final walkthroughs are in person, the sellers are moved out by then, and then we're doing curbside closings. Instead of going into the office, you just do it from your car, sign all the paperwork in your car. So let's talk about partnering with an agent team. So it's really important that you partner with a team that is really knowledgeable about the market that you're in. And so for example, our team, it's the three of us, and we are 100% focused on your goals and what you're trying to achieve. We consider ourselves problem solvers. So for example, if something comes up in the home inspection, we are able to walk you through and give you the best advice for that given situation. We understand the local markets. We study the data on a weekly basis. So this way, if we're in a competitive situation, we know the best way to go about that situation. We're huge advocates for you as a client. We actually write a letter on your behalf when it's time to submit an offer. We have a really strong reputation in the market. A lot of other agents know us, and they know that we get through the transaction smoothly with no issues. We're negotiation experts. We also have a huge vendor resource network. So anything you need during or after the transaction, such as a plumber, electrician, home inspector, anything like that, we're able to connect you in that way. Like I talked about before, we're experienced COVID-19 agents. We started to come up with ways to keep our business going right at the beginning of quarantine, and have been doing that all the way through the pandemic. And we also work under exclusive contract. So the next step that I'm going to be talking about in your buying process is the buyer consultation. So this is a really important step. And even if you've been to a first-time homebuyer class or participated in a webinar like this one, it's really important that you do a buyer consultation. It gives you the opportunity to meet the team that you're working with, talk about your goals, and really tell them what you're trying to accomplish. It also gives you the opportunity to learn a little bit more about the market that you're looking to buy in, and also about the transaction timeline itself, and you kind of establish a game plan from that point on for your home search.
We have a quick question, Liz, if you've got a second.
Sure.
Nick wants to know if he sees an open house sign, can he go into the open house without an agent?
So it really depends on the town that you're in now. Most of the towns, they'll want you to make an appointment. So just to limit exposure to the home. But sometimes you can walk right in.
And then also, I don't know if you want to touch on this. Somebody asked last week in our webinar, the virtual tours online. Can you explain what the other options are in case there isn't a virtual tour online?
So sure, if there isn't a virtual tour online, we are doing a couple of things. First, we suggest that you do a drive-by of the property, just so you can kind of get a better idea before you go in. If you're out of town and you need the virtual tour to see it, we can go in and FaceTime you or record a video and send it to you. So those are a couple of different ways that we've been going about that.
Awesome.
Okay, so we talked about the buyer consultation. So let's talk about getting your pre-approval. So most listing agents now are requiring a pre-approval to make sure that you're a really qualified buyer before going out and looking at homes. So it's a really important first step before going out and looking at homes. So this is Dan Bello. He works with Residential Mortgage Services in Woburn. He's one of the local lenders that we recommend to our clients. And he makes it really easy to get a pre-approval. These are just some of the documents so that you have a little bit of a reference of what you would need. And with Dan, you just submit all these online. So it's super easy and pretty quick to get one as well.
Do you have to put down 20% to get a loan? That's a question we just got.
Oh, okay. no, you don't need to put down 20%.
I also have a question that a buyer just asked me today that I thought would be good to throw out on this slide. So we have a new buyer. We referred them to one of our recommended lenders. They check their credit, income and assets, all that. They now need to take the next step, which is uploading their documents to the lender's portal. And they had asked the lender, do we need to do that right away or can we wait? Which I thought was a really great question. The lender recommended to get your documents uploaded as soon as possible, because then the lender can start vetting your your bank statements and your W-2s and all that, so that once we are out on a particular weekend and you want to write an offer, we have all of that already completed. So I thought that was a good question today.
Yeah, definitely. Especially now, I feel like people are going out the first weekend and wanting to write an offer right away.
I agree. I agree. And I just want to throw it out there real quickly. Let's see. Liz, you got an offer accepted last night, and they were 15% down. Just to use that as an example, you don't have to be 20%.
Yeah, definitely. So now that we're talking about offers, let's talk about how do we win. So you found a place and you want to put an offer on. How do we win? So usually the highest price usually wins, but there's also a lot of other factors that play into it. So we're going to talk about those now. So first, drop any unnecessary contingencies that you may have. So if you can drop your home inspection or do a pre-offer home inspection, that will help your offer stand out, increasing your down payment amount. So if you're at 15% and you can bump it up to 20, that will make your offer stronger. Being flexible with the closing dates. Now a lot of sellers are trying to line up their purchase with the sale of their home. So if you can accommodate whatever date that they need to make that happen, it will make your offer stand out as well. Being able to wire your funds for the offer deposit and the purchase and sale deposit will make the transaction go smoother. They'll get the money quicker, and it will just make the whole process a little bit faster. Ask your lender to advocate for you. So for example, if you're using Dan Bello, he will personally call the listing agent on your behalf and say that you're very financially qualified and a strong buyer, which will obviously make your offer stand out as well. And also another fun thing that we suggest you do is write a love letter. This will really personalize your offer, and say there's 10 offers, you're the only one with a letter. It will really make the offer stand out as well. Selling your house is a really emotional process. So if you bring emotion into it, the sellers are more likely to be attracted to that offer. So we have a few examples here. This is a really creative love letter that someone wrote, as you can see, and there's a few family photos and just why they love the house. And then this one is more plain, a little picture of their family pet in the corner. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as you have one. It's a really big benefit to you.
And then I just want to say one quick thing. I got an offer accepted last night, and the buyer they did submit a letter. It literally was 2 sentences long. And it was just like, just want to introduce ourselves to you. We absolutely love your house. Please pick us. So, I mean, it was sort of funny. They didn't go into detail about their lives or anything like that. But it did work. So it was kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think it's funny, a lot of times the sellers will comment on the letters and the listing agents will tell us like, oh, they really liked the letter. So it really does make an impact.
I agree.
Do we have any other questions before we move on?
Yeah, one quick question. This person wants to know how much over list are homes selling for right now?
Do you want me to answer that one?
I can answer it if you want. So that's actually a really good question. And we evaluate that every single time we're submitting an offer. It really depends on the town that you're in. So every town has a different ratio over list typically. It's all driven by supply and demand. So for example, Wakefield is 8 to 10% over ask. Saugus, you did Saugus, Liz. They were 3%. And I just did Arlington last night, and they're 3% as well. So it really depends. So you want to work with an agent that is very familiar with the market area that you're submitting your offer.
And let's see, one more question. Do all listings have an offer deadline?
So my computer just froze. Okay, so yes, all, what was the question?
Do all listings have an offer deadline?
Yes, all listings have offer deadlines. They're usually Monday or Tuesday, and they'll come on the market Thursday or Friday. You can see them over the weekend and then submit the offer at the beginning of the week. In rare cases, they won't have a deadline, but we're seeing, for the most part, they do.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Liz, because I was gonna say 99%. I would say 99%, right? Yeah. So
that same person wants to know if they can submit before the offer deadline.
So we usually do try to get it in before the offer deadline. Sometimes they'll review it early, sometimes they won't. Either way, it's just good to get everything organized and in there before everyone else, in my opinion.
yeah, I agree. That was a great question.
That is all of our questions for now.
Okay. So after this webinar, we would like to invite you to a free buyer consultation on Zoom. We do 30-minute consultations. You can sign up right on our website. There's a link there to our team calendar. You just click on it and pick whatever time slot you want. We also have an on-demand resource library where you can find every webinar we've done every Wednesday. They're all different topics, so I highly suggest checking that out. And let's see, our social media. Melissa, you want to talk about that?
Yes, of course. So we are very active on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. So you'll definitely want to look us up. You can see all of our listings on there. You can see the homes that Lori and Liz are showing daily. We give monthly market updates on there, and you can also see all of our events like this webinar on our pages. And we, most excitingly, we do giveaways, and our giveaway is ending tomorrow. So definitely enter tomorrow at noon. Go on Instagram, follow us, like our post, tag as many people as you can, and you might win. And then check out our pages for more giveaways, because there'll be more definitely soon.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions before we wrap it up?
I don't see any.
Well, if we don't have any other questions, thank you all for coming to this Wednesday's webinar, and we hope to be in touch with you soon.